Hi, today I'm going to present Bloom's taxonomy through the lens of the short film New Boy. New Boy is a short film that was released in 2007 and it was written and directed by Steph Green. It's based on a short story by Roddy Doyle and it follows Joseph through his first day of school in Ireland after having to move from Africa, and it explores the themes of xenophobia, racism, and friendship while navigating through a new environment. The taxonomy of educational objectives, aka or more commonly known as Bloom's taxonomy, is a framework that's used in all levels of education. That's it's a guiding tool for instructional practices. It started really as an assessment tool, but quickly teachers realized that it was great for creating learning objectives and thus having them guide their courses. Bloom's taxonomy has three domains: the cognitive, affective, and psychomotor domains. And each one of those has subcategories or orders depending who you ask. In 2001, these subcategories were revised and the names of them were changed to reflect the changes and new discoveries in psychology and the ideas of how cognitive processes work. So in this video, we're going to talk about the revised model for Bloom's taxonomy. Let's take a look at the first domain here, the cognitive domain. It's the one that's most common, most people talk about. It has 6 orders or levels: remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating. It is concerned with how through different actions that students take towards the material that we present them with, they achieve different stages. So as teachers, we have to think, what stage do we want our students to achieve, and thus plan accordingly. So for example, here in this clip from the short film, we see the teacher asking students some questions that require a short answer. Questions that require a short answer usually only helps achieve as much as the applying order or stage. If he wanted to go any further, any higher, he will need another type of activity. Now, let's take a look at the second one, the affective domain. This one is concerned with the social and emotional aspects of learning, and it focuses on the attitudes, values, motivations, and beliefs of students. This one has only 5 categories: receiving, responding, valuing, organizing, and characterizing. So for example, here in the classroom, the classroom management technique that the teacher has, that she uses throughout the film, is asking her students to raise their hands. So she says, hands in the air, and the students respond accordingly, raising their hands. So they receive a stimuli and they respond, they act accordingly to it. That's a basic example of it. Now, let's take a look at, last but not least, the third one, the psychomotor domain. The psychomotor domain tries to explain how we learn through observation, perception, varied levels of movement, physical mimicry, and embodiment. And it's concerned with developing physical abilities, coordination, and motor skills. The psychomotor domain is an addition that was made later on to Bloom's taxonomy. So different authors have different subcategories for it, but we are going to focus on Anna Harrow's categories or subdivisions. She talks about reflex movements, fundamental movements, perceptual abilities, physical abilities, skilled movements, and non-discursive communication. So we don't really see that much movement going on in the classroom in this short film. But if we go back to the example from the last one, we see that we spoke about how students respond to the teacher. But they do not respond orally. They respond physically by raising their hands. Thus, we can see an example of a perceptual ability. They get information from the environment and they react accordingly. At the end of the day, Bloom's taxonomy is not a natural law of education, it's just a theory. But we have to give it credit where we have to give credit where credit's due. It's a long-lived theory that has been flexible and has embraced the growth of educational psychology and the new theories that have come, and has been present and useful for many, many, many years. So it's a great tool to have when you're planning a lesson, planning a thematic unit, or a whole year. So thanks for watching, and for a bit more information and the bibliography, go to the report. Goodbye.